The badge said late. The bus shelter clock said 7:58. Miles Carter held both facts and felt heat rise in his chest. 17. Senior year at West Grove High. Track legs, tight coils, brown eyes that do not look away. His mother, Dana, worked nights at the county hospital. She said the same thing each morning. Finish what you start. Keep receipts. Are you here for the first time? Help echoes of Black struggles grow. Subscribe. Share this. Like it. Tell us your city or state in the comments. A billionaire named Colin Drake rolled into their gym with a navy suit and a smile made from magazine covers. He called the new tech a gift. Smart badges, faster lines, safer halls. The crowd clapped. The principal beamed. A banner hung high and blue lights blinked on lanyards across the floor. The next days told a rougher story. Hallway readers blinked green for some and yellow for others. The guard held the scanner low for magnet kids. He held it high for bus kids. Green moved fast. Yellow dragged. In a lunch line, the difference felt like a hand on your shoulder that you could not see. Miles watched. He wrote times in a small notebook with a black band. He drew the building on copier paper. Dots marked every reader. Arrows marked the flow. Notes filled the margins. 2 weeks later, the library screen flashed red. Access limited. Ms. Avery at the desk frowned and typed. The office used one word that shut the door. Proprietary. His coach pulled the attendance file. 5 late marks sat beside his name. He showed the coach a photo of the shelter clock at 7:58. The coach shrugged. The system said what it said. Miles felt his jaw tight. Shoulders squared. Hands flat on the table. He went home and set a small rig on the kitchen table. A cheap RFID reader. A pocket board. His phone as a display. He held his badge near the reader. Numbers jumped on the screen. He did not dig for secrets. He read what sat in the open. Student ID. A link to a vendor database. A flag value. Green for most. Yellow for him. He wrote those values down and took time-stamp photos. Tasha, his friend, scanned hers. Green. He logged it. He mapped harm next. Lunch speed by flag. Ran to bag checks by flag. Library access by flag. He sat with Ms. Banks, the counselor, and read policy at her desk under a bright lamp while she returned calls. One line mattered. No data lockouts for study resources. He wrote the page number in the margin and slid the binder back with care. He signed up for school board public comment. 3 minutes. He ironed a gray shirt and tied his laces tight. The room ran cold. Parents in rows. Teacher whispers. Drake near the front with 2 aides and the vendor rep. Miles grabbed the mic with his right hand and held his clipboard to his chest with his left. He planted his feet in a steady stance and made the words plain. My name is Miles Carter. My badge flag's yellow. I'm not late. I timed your readers. I mapped your doors. I asked for my data. The vendor refused. Print our data on request. Publish your rules. Pause punishments until an independent audit. He handed 4 sheets to the clerk. The document camera showed the flag value. The 7:58 photo. The hallway map. The policy line. A mother spoke after him about her son and a morning sprint from his grandmother's apartment. The vendor said context. Drake said vision. The board moved on. Miles walked out with his shoulders high and his teeth set. You feel that tightness in your chest. Stand with us. Subscribe. Share this story. Like it. Tell us your city or your state in the comments so the board sees our map. He filed a records request the next day. Narrow scope. Emails between the principal, the vendor, and Drake's foundation. Attachments included. Clear dates. The district sent a fee notice. Students gave $5 at lunch. A barber taped a QR code near his register. Nurses at Dana's hospital passed a small envelope around the break room. He paid with a money order and stapled the receipt into his notebook. The documents landed. He read until his eyes stung. He found a slide that promised priority scanning at the magnet entrance. He found an email from a vendor manager. Yellow flag will throttle library capacity during pilot to show improvement when green rates climb. He pressed a finger on the line and felt the edge. He wrote a plain translation in the margin. Hold one group back so the other looks better. He launched a petition for a youth council hearing. Students lined up by the gym doors and signed with quick strokes. Parents signed at pickup. A grandfather who fought for busing decades ago squeezed Miles's forearm and nodded without words. On Saturday, he ran a live stream from the community center. He put the folder on the table. He spoke in short lines. A tool without rules becomes a weapon. Transparency is duty. Numbers face the sun. A kid is not a test case. The youth council packed a small chamber. The lights ran hot. Alexis, a college junior with a clear voice, held the gavel. Miles stood by a foam board with the email in large print. He showed the line and read it once. The vendor said aggregate gain. Alexis leaned forward and asked one question that mattered. What do you want next week? Not next year. Next week. Unplug the readers for 7 days, Miles said. Post signs. Open all doors on time. Library open to all. Publish a form for data prints. Then meet again. We bring new numbers. The room breathed. After the hearing, Drake stepped into the hallway with 2 aides and a perfect smile. He reached for a handshake and spoke in a low, smooth tone. You are sharp. Take a scholarship. Sit at my table and learn the system. Miles kept his hands at his sides. Jaw tight. Shoulders squared. Full body anger sat under his ribs like a drum. He did not swing it. He spoke in clean lines. Open a library. Print our data. Publish the rules. Sit with us in daylight. Follow the process we set with the people your system flagged. Phones pointed at the circle. The aides glanced at the cameras. Drake lowered his hand and adjusted his cuff. On Monday, the district shut the readers down for 1 week. Paper sign-in sheets went up at each door. The library filled and stayed calm. Lunch moved without drama. The west door held with 2 staffers for 45 minutes. The detention list fell back to what it was last year. Miles and Tasha walked the halls with clipboards. They logged times. They wrote notes. Ms. Banks brought cocoa to the bleachers after last bell and said they moved like a team. On Friday, the youth council reconvened. Miles delivered the new numbers. No spike in late arrivals. No lunch fights. Library smooth. The district rep nodded. The pause would extend. Rules would be drafted. An audit team would form with parents, students, a teacher, and a neutral expert. The next fight sat at City Hall. Drake's firm pitched a tech campus 5 blocks from West Grove. The packet used the same phrase that sat in the badge deck. Safe corridors. Miles met the elders at the community center. They spread zoning maps and old minutes on a table. Ruth, a quiet leader with eyes that missed nothing, set the rule. No filibuster. Ask for numbers. Ask again if they dodge. They built a lineup for the planning commission. Students, parents, teachers, a nurse on asthma near heavy traffic, a housing lawyer with displacement math. Ruth would close with terms for a real agreement. Not ribbons. Terms. Money. Timelines. Reports with teeth. Seats for residents. A freeze clause if reports missed twice. The hearing ran hot. Suits held boards with shiny renderings. Neighbors filled the rows in union jackets and church coats. Miles went third. Gray shirt. Clean sneakers. Clipboard to chest. He faced the dais and spoke 5 lines. This campus links to a badge program that throttled our library. Your packet repeats safe corridors. The vendor email shows harm under that phrase. Push pause. Set rules first. Then build what helps without harm. Drake promised jobs, internships, scholarships. Ruth closed like a hammer. Vision without receipts is theater. Fund eviction defense and first-time buyers. Run a shuttle where the bus map goes blank. Hire local with targets and quarterly reports. Pay West Grove interns. Keep data opt-in with the right to delete at graduation. Freeze the project after 2 missed reports. Put it in writing. The chair called a recess. The developer huddled with aides. They returned with a delay. 60 days. Meetings with the community. Draft terms. Back to vote. The audit team for the badge met a week later in the school library. Parents pulled chairs into a circle. A professor brought 2 grad students. The vendor sent a policy director with neat notes. Alexis kept a binder open and a stopwatch running. Ms. Banks set a box of pens in the middle. Miles set his notebook beside it and breathed. They wrote rules in plain words. Any student requests a data print with a simple form. Delivery in 3 school days. Flags match written policy. No automated lockouts for library or lunch. A human reviews any flag before harm. A sign at each reader states the data taken and why. A public report each year lists flag counts by school and grade. No student names. A one-page appeal with deadlines and a real person who answers. The district posted the policy. The principal taped it to the office window. The librarian taped it by her door. Students took photos and sent them to parents. Miles ran a finger along the paper and nodded once. The commission reconvened 2 weeks later. Terms lay on the table. A 7-figure fund for eviction defense and down payment help. A shuttle that looped the bus gaps from the station to the site and back. A local hire quota with quarterly reports and a freeze clause. 40 paid internships each year for West Grove students with reserved seats. An opt-in data policy with the right to delete badge records at graduation. An oversight board with Ruth, Alexis, a rotating student, a tenant leader, a teacher, and 2 residents. The vote passed. Drake signed with a stiff smile. Cameras clicked. The elders nodded. No cheers. Work remained. Are you with us? Keep echoes of Black struggle strong. Subscribe. Share this story. Like it. Tell us your city or your state so we know where to stand next. The oversight board met each month in a hot room at the center. Reports came in on the shuttle, the fund, the hires, the internships. When numbers dipped, Ruth tapped the whiteboard with a knuckle, and the phones lit up before noon. A small scandal hit when a contractor filed fake internship names. The board pulled the ledger and the payroll file. The company folded in 2 days and paid a penalty into the fund. Those slots opened with back pay, and West Grove students filled them by the end of the week. A teacher raised a point about new cameras by the locker wing. The tilt looked different for magnet kids and bus kids. The vendor said a contractor had nudged an attention score slider. The board banned those sliders outright. Any change that touches a student would post on a wall. Any change that touches a student would face a vote in public. Alexis wrote it into the minutes. The room agreed. Miles started a weekly records clinic. Students filled forms after practice. The print landed on the table and shoulders dropped. A 9th grader pressed his palms flat and read slow. "This matters," he said. Miles nodded and slid over a 1-page appeal with clear dates and steps. He trained 3 freshmen to run the clinic when he left for college. Posture. Logs. Calm hands. Let anger pass through the room and out the door. Set the next step and write it down. Winter brought a lawsuit from a data broker that wanted badge records for research. The ordinance the board helped write held firm in court. The judge read the key line and shut the request down. Your records stay unless a family asks. The board posted a 1-paragraph update in plain language. The hallway buzzed with relief for a day and then went back to normal life. Graduation day arrived. The gym smelled like floor wax and flowers. Caps bobbed. Names rang from speakers. Miles crossed the stage in a pressed gown and clean sneakers. The principal shook his hand and said his name into the mic. Dana stood on a chair and laughed while tears ran down her face. He stepped down and breathed. He stopped in the library and ran his fingers along a row of spines. He remembered access limited. He remembered a week with open doors and nothing broke. He remembered the hand he did not take and the rules on glass that no one could hide. He walked out into sun and noise. Tasha handed him water. "You outsmarted a billionaire," she said. "We outworked a plan," he said. Both truths sat side by side and did not fight. They found Alexis and Ruth and Ms. Banks at the steps. Full bodies in the frame. Shoulders squared. Eyes bright. No one flinched when the camera clicked. If this moved you, keep echoes of Black struggles alive. Subscribe. Share with one person who needs proof. Like it. Tell us your city or your state in the comments. We show up. We keep receipts. We build and we hold.